a warm welcome. Today, the Namibian House is voting. It's the 6th time we're going to the polls in Namibia since independence in 1990, and if we also count in the historic Constituent Assembly elections in 1989, it's the 7th general election today. Now at NMH, we've got more than 50 people working today on the elections in total. That includes journalists, designers, and also a technical support staff. First of all, we're just going to introduce you to the journalists in the different regions. We're going to start off at the ECN headquarters here in Windhoek, where we're shortly going to speak to Catherine Sassman. And we're going to then scroll through some of the other regions. In Khomas, Elvira Hatting in Windhoek East constituency. Wangwena, we'll speak to Eleni Nanjatu. And then in the Khomas region, amongst others, also Elizabeth Joseph in Khomasdal. Also, same region, Khomas there, Francoise Steinberg. She's at Elisenheim already at the moment. And in Irongo, we've got various journalists. Erwin Leuchner will start out in Uys. Also, same region, Adolf Kaure is the man in Henties Bay. Kavango East, Kenya, Kambowe in Rundu. Karas region, Deep South, Keetmanshoop and surroundings, Yemima Bekes. And again, back in Khomas, Clemens von Alten in Windhoek West. Same region, Katatura this time, Esther Kamati. Hardap, Mariental starting off, Denver Kisting, later moving to Rehoboth. Oshikoto, I'll get to Greg. And then in Kunene, Janemarie Smith is going to report from Ochu. Khomas also at the ECN head office, Octavia Tibes. As well as Tunohole Mungoba. That is the map showing you where everyone is, and up next, it is my pleasure to introduce to you the presenters who's going to work shifts today to keep you informed and a little bit entertained as well. We're going to start off with the editor of Namibian Sun, Toivo Jabela. Good morning and welcome, Toivo.
Good morning, Danny. Thank you very much for having me.
The polls have already opened, Toivo. What is your general expectations for today?
Well, Danny, I think we are going to have a much higher turnout this time around. I think we had 72 in 2014, but given the hype that we've seen in the build-up to today's election, I anticipate a slightly higher turnout.
Thank you very much, Toivo. We're sticking with the Namibian Sun. The news editor, Ashley Smith, is also one of our presenters. Good morning.
Good morning, Danny. How are you? Good morning, viewers.
Actually, in the presidential election, it's quite historic. For the first time, we have an independent candidate. But do you think there's going to be real competition, seeing that we've got a huge record-winning margin 5 years ago for the President Hage Geingob?
Well, I think as in terms of the analysts, they seem to believe that the presidential race will be much closer than the National Assembly race. So we will keep an eye on that today and see how that unfolds.
Thank you very much, Ashley. Now, we're sticking with the news editors. So up next, the Republikaans news editor is Ronel Rademacher.
Good morning, Danny, and good morning to all the viewers.
Good morning, Ronel. Now, Toivo has mentioned the turnout. We have 1.3 something going to 1.4 million voters. So do you also expect a higher turnout, or are people tired of politics and tired of difficult times?
Donnie, I think difficult times means that people are disillusioned with government, and I think they are going to show it today by turning out in higher numbers at the polls. I think we might see close to 1 million people this year casting their votes.
Now that was Ronel's prediction, and of course we'll have to wait for the final results to see if that comes through. Then up next, she's a Chief Economics and Financial Business reporter at NMH, Jo-Marie Duddy. Good morning, Jo-Marie. Now, Namibia has been in a recession for longer than 3 years, basically. So do you think the economic outlook is going to weigh on people's minds when they go to the polls today as well?
Donnie, yes. Since the previous election, we've seen massive job losses. Those who have work are under immense pressure because of low disposable income. So in the past, I think people voted with their hearts. This time, I think they will also vote with their wallets.
With their wallets, you say?
With their wallets.
Thank you very much, Jo-Marie. Now, we're going to be back with you shortly, so please stay tuned. Yes, welcome. It's me and Toivo. We're going to be your companions for the first couple of hours. Now, Toivo, I've driven here from home all the way on the other side in Windhoek in Simbabatia, and I've driven past a few polling stations, and I've seen, you know, people already queuing up, not very long queues. Have you seen similar things on your way here to the studio this morning?
You see, Danny, I saw the, I also passed by some, and I was quite early. So to see already long queues, even in Eros, your suburbs where you expect the turnout to be a bit lukewarm, it's actually amazing. So it tells you just about the hunger that people have to participate in this election.
Now we are going to bring you now some footage from a polling station very close here to our studio. It's been shot with a drone, and there's also a time lapse, and it shows you already the situation at one polling station before 7 o'clock this morning. So yes, if you are tuned, of course, remember you are on Facebook here. You can also tell us what you are experiencing, what is happening maybe where you are standing in line waiting to vote. Are you experiencing problems or anything? And remember our website also, where you can go and get all the stats from 2014 and on the registration of voters, etc. my.na/election. So that's quite easy, Toivo. And yes, we've said now people are expecting a lot from today, and all the time we've got until 9 o'clock this evening to go and cast our votes. Ample enough time.
I think there is absolutely no reason for anyone not to participate if they are registered. As a matter of fact, the good thing about also our Electoral Act is that if you were in the queue by 9 o'clock, even if you will not be turned away, as long as you were in the queue. The only people who will be turned away are those that are arriving at the polling stations at 9, but those that were already in the queue will also be allowed. So that is very accommodating.
Yes, indeed. Now, I've been at court till after midnight last night, Toivo, myself. So if you haven't seen the breaking news this morning, another court application dismissed shortly after midnight this morning, really hours before the election. So the court again said the independent candidate Panoleni Itula does not have a real urgent case, and he won't suffer irreparable damage if these elections go ahead. So I think most Namibians relieved. The judge also said there's many people who registered who's not voting or supporting him necessarily. So they have the right to exercise their democratic right today as well.
Yeah, I think yesterday the ECN held a press conference where they announced now the final preparations, how prepared they were, how ready they were, and they sort of gave assurances that indeed there's nothing to worry about. But again, that case, you know, there was a ruling on Tuesday this week and then an appeal last night. It tells you just about how big this election is. People are saying it's the biggest since 1989, and these are some of the things that tells you that that could be true.
Okay, just a correction on that website I mentioned. It's actually elections.my.na. I'm repeating it, elections.my.na, and we'll actually be on the tablet going to that site during the day also to show you some of those stats. We are going to break now quickly and show you some statistics. Toivo, yeah, sorry, not statistics, but that's actually the drone footage here in Eros, quite close to us.
Yes,
This morning,
it was great.
the sun rising early, a crisp and freshly morning here in the Namibian capital city of Windhoek. That is the Eros post office.
Looks great. The roads are quiet, but we expect to see a bit of traffic as the day goes. I think people are just taking it easy in the morning, but you can see the queue lining up there in Eros.
I guess 20 or 30 people, so it's good to see the early birds up early to go and cast their votes today.
Very good, very good. I think also that this is the kind of image that we expect to see throughout the day. Like you said, people have an entire day to vote, so maybe some are not taking it, are taking it a bit easy to say, look, I can go in at 11, I can go in at 12 and still make it. So that is still good.
Yes, indeed, still scenes there from the polling station close to us. Remember, we've got about 20 journalists out in the field across the country, and throughout the day, we'll be speaking to many of them, and we'll show footage from many of them, speaking live and showing fresh footage from those journalists. Yes, and you're back with us. It's me, Dani Boysen of Republikein, and Toivo Jabela of the Namibian Sun. We're shortly going to hopefully speak to Catherine Sussman at the ECN headquarters. Of course, a very important place here in Windhoek. That is where all the problems are reported to, where all the results will be finally collated and announced. We later today speak about when we think that is going to happen. Catherine, good day.
Good day, Danny.
Good day, Toivo. This early in the morning.
Well, it is about 10 minutes or 15 minutes into the election time already. We are standing here at the ECN headquarters. The ECN headquarters is transformed into the Central Election Results Center, where the actual, where the action will happen by tomorrow when the election results come in, trickle in, hopefully not too slowly. At the moment, it is very quiet here. We only have media people in what they call the West Wing of the building. This is where the media is operating from. On the other side of the building, across the hall, in the Eastern Wing, is where the elections will come in from tomorrow onwards, after the polls have closed at 9 o'clock in the evening. Sorry, I'm struggling to hear you. And that is where the collation of the results coming in from 121 centers, collation centers from the constituencies will be aggregated and again calculated, and from there the results will be announced.
Is that Toivo? That is Catherine speaking to us from the ECN HQ. Catherine, can you hear us? And Toivo, have you maybe got a question?
I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
I can't seem to get Catherine very well, but can you hear us, Catherine?
I can hear you vaguely, yes.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think in that case, do we let Catherine go for now, or do
yes, it seems it's just on our side. We're having a problem here. Thank you very much, Catherine. We're going to come back to the ECN quite shortly. But yes, our journalists, Toivu, they've been in the field from 6 o'clock this morning already, finding out are the polling stations ready, were they ready to open in time, and what does the queues look like, etc. So every half an hour or so we're going to show you some video clips from our journalists in the field, and we're ready to show you some of those, and they are going to be introduced by Frank Stephan, editor of the Allgemeine Zeitung. Good morning, Frank, and what have you got to show us and the viewers?
Morning, Dani. Yeah, it's obviously very exciting out there. It doesn't go fast enough. These things are streaming in to actually by the second at this stage. So obviously early in the morning there's much excitement. The first photo we would like to show you is obviously out at Andreas Kukuri Center in Okahanja. That's where Tanya Bowser made an early morning photo. You can see people are starting to accumulate, even though she actually said it's not that busy at this stage. The second one that we would like to show you is a photo which, now I must think again, that is Adolf, who took a photo at Henty's. They were busy testing the equipment at that stage. It was shortly before 7 o'clock. And then we already had a first clip from Octavia Tsibies.
My vote will make sure that there is continuity.
Senior citizens.
Must continue, and then also for peace and stability, so that our country continue to have this peace and stability. So therefore, I think it's important for me to stand up early enough to vote.
Yeah, as you can see, we are trying to get as many as possible people involved. The idea is obviously to get a feel of what the country is busy with. So on the next session, we've already got a couple of interesting ones lined up. At a later stage, we'll actually tell you President Geingob, for example, has already given his vote, and so there are a couple of nice clips coming up.
Thank you very much, Frank. Now, Toivu, that's interesting to see the senior citizens, thank you, Frank, already in line early morning to cast their votes. And I think the senior citizens, we call them the elders often, and it's good to see that they are showing the example.
They are leading by example. I'm amazed by the energy. I mean, at that age to still be sort of being the first in the queue, it tells you just about how eager people are to cast their vote, including those that are senior.
Yes, and indeed as well in sports. Now, I know you love your sports as well, especially football. Now, in sports, they say that a good start, for an athlete, if you get out of the blocks well, you might finish first in the race and cross the line first. But it goes for team sport as well, and maybe elections are kind of a team sport. And so, yes, it's. I think we also want to ask people, get out there early, don't wait until 5 or 7 or 8 this evening, and go and cast your vote.
I think the earlier the better. In football we say the first goal, if you score first, then you have set the precedence going forward, and the same we expect. The same logic applies to elections. So it's good to see that people are already coming out in numbers so early in the morning, even the old ones.
Remember to let us know where you are voting today here on Facebook with the comments, as well as what you are experiencing at the moment. And we're just going to take Eros Post Office. Apparently, we've just seen here now the polling station is not open yet. So if you are at the polling station which is not open yet, it's now a good almost 20 minutes past 7. Please inform us as well about those difficulties. We saw late yesterday evening up in the north, they were still looking for some extra generators to hire in order to be sure that they're not going to be without electricity at certain polling stations. Yeah. So, I mean, we know there were budget constraints, but a lot of extra money was actually in the end given for elections 2019. Yeah. So we hope really to see fewer of these problems.
I hope so, Danny. I mean, the ECN gave assurances yesterday that they were ready to go. That was just a few hours before our reporters from across the country started, telling us some of the things that they're experiencing there, like generators. As of Monday this week, the ECN needed still about 60-something cars in Kunene. That's a huge number on the eve, essentially on the eve of an election. So I'm not very sure about, of course, like you said, they have been on record complaining about additional funding that they needed. I think they wanted about $20 million. So I don't know if that ever came. And if it never came, those are the kind of challenges sometimes that you can anticipate.
Yes, remember also to use the hashtag elections 2019. That is one word without a space if you want to chat about elections 2019. We're going to take a short break and show you some statistics now. Please stay tuned. welcome back. It's Daniel Toivu speaking, Elections 2019 with you. Now, starting with the beginning of every half an hour, we're going to share some stats and interesting information. Now, the first slide quickly, we're going to look at the political parties that are competing in this elections, and we're not going to run through the whole list. Toivu, we see there 15, and actually it's 16 because 2 of them are in a coalition, and so yes, very many parties. We had 16 in the previous election. Are there too many parties in Namibia taking part, or is this diversity in terms of choice very important?
Well, I think both points are correct. To say that first and foremost, you want to open up that space, that democratic contestation as much as possible, but don't forget also that the element of the fragmentation, that you have now all these fragmented votes that eventually just don't make up something concrete for Parliament in particular.
Now, if you like history, just quickly to go back, in 1989 there were 10 parties, and then it went down to 8 actually, then it was 9, and then it went to 14, and it went to 16. But the slide you are seeing now is actually the important one, and it shows you the total opposition vote versus the total vote for the governing party, still, of course, SWAPO, and how that changed since 1989. The first one, constituent assembly elections, were actually the closest run there, and after that SWAPO went beyond the 2/3 majority, 66%, and they actually stayed there and went all the way up to 80% of the total vote 5 years ago. And I think many pundits are asking Toivu, are we going to see, when we see the final results for 2019, any change in this? Is the 2/3 majority under pressure really or not really?
I think, like Ashley said earlier in the morning, his observation is quite spot on, that you are likely to see the status quo remain as far as political parties are concerned. The real contestation for me lies in the presidential election. But we have also seen now with this independent candidate issue that some political parties are now saying, look, even the opposition are saying, vote, some of them, vote for this man, but also don't vote for SWAPO so that we break that 2/3 majority. So there's that hunger within the opposition space to break the 2/3 majority.
And South Africa is our neighbors. They voted last year. We've seen the ANC losing about 5% of their total votes. So even if the same happens here, and we didn't have state capture, but we have a lot of stuff being spoken about, which we're not going to touch on necessarily right now, maybe a bit later. So even if SWAPO loses 5%, they will still retain a 2/3 majority.
Yes, Danny, they had 80% in 5 years ago. So a 5% decline means nothing really. It's not even qualified to be called a vote of no confidence. Of course, it's a knock, but if the 2/3 majority is still retained, I don't see that as a major loss for SWAPO.
Okay, and remember, of course, it's you, the electorate, who determines that percentage and that balance, and how it helps to keep government accountable. Now, our man in the south, in Mariental, is a journalist, Denver Kisting, and we're going to show you an interview that he recorded a bit earlier this morning.
Ja, hoe voel u oor vanjaar se verkiesings?
Die verkiesings moet reggemaak word. Ons wil vra dat mense wat voor ons stem ook vir ons moet regkom en vir ons die wêreld op die plekke regmaak en alles wat ons sukkel daarvoor.
Waarmee sukkel u hier op Mariental?
Dis alles, dis kos, ek praat van kos, eers is die kos wat moet jy kan. Maar ons vraag wordt dat we net raken, dat hier voor ons spaart en voor ons te helpen.
Ja.
Voor ons gaan met de samen, dat ons elkaar helpt. Ja, dat is.
En u is ook 'n senior burger reeds.
Ik ben een senior.
Ja, en wat wil u graag sien in hierdie land?
Ik wil graag zien dat alles kan raken. Alle plek. Alles kan. Zoals we praten, zoals we moeten.
Baie dankie en sterkte vir u.
Yes, Toivo, the gentleman there says, if you're not conversant in Afrikaans, that there's many problems in Marintaal. Actually, everything is a problem, and he wants to see that everything gets sorted out in Namibia. And of course, that's not only up to the government, it's also up to the strength of an opposition in parliament, again speaking about accountability.
Yes. I think one thing that I forgot to say earlier, Danny, is that for the first time we are seeing an election that is sort of issue-based. I mean, in the old tradition has always been about history, about ethnic allegiances, but for the first time you are seeing, especially young people, and I'm pleased to see a senior citizen as old as he seems, with all due respect, that he also is talking about issues. And that is what is going to characterize this election. I didn't understand what he said in Afrikaans. My Afrikaans is not well on point, but thanks for the translation. And if that is what he's saying, then obviously that it speaks to what I was thinking about, to say that issues will dominate this election.
Yes, issues. If you want to chat about the elections, give feedback to us, you can use the following cell phone number, 0811 7080. That's 0811 700080. And any chats on the election, please use the hashtag elections 2019. Now, today is a public holiday. Some people are working, but we are in the newspaper business, so we have our daily issues here on the table as well, and they've been available early this morning in the big centers, not everywhere in the furthest outpost necessarily of the country. So we're going to look at the front pages of our three dailies very quickly. We're going to start out with the Namibian Sun. And Toya, just a bit about, tell us a bit about your front page today. The headline there for the lead story is Ready, Steady, Vote.
Yes, I thought it's a catchy headline, Danny, and that is really just to stimulate appetite for voting. And then, of course, we threw in some statistics about the 15 political parties that are contesting 8 presidential candidates, even if there are 11 on the ballot paper. 2 of them withdrew later. More than 4,000 polling stations across the country, and 1.3 million people voting.
But interestingly enough, some of the other stories there, especially the one again about housing slums, I mean, these are real issues which are important also today when people are voting.
I think housing is a recurring theme, and we've seen how in this campaign, every political party, because they knew that is the issue that most people are now really hungry about, and they hammered on that. Almost every political party promising free plots of land. Some are promising to sell them for as little as $1,000. So that is, I suppose, the way to tap into the voting masses.
Yes, and then Republikein, looking at our front page in Afrikaans, there ECN sê die tafel is gedek. Everything is ready for elections. And then our main photos there, quite an interesting story there. In 1990, the 2 little chockers you see there on the left of the front page was sitting on the street waving their little Namibian flags, Toivu.
Yes.
And we traced the gentleman a couple of years ago already, but just recently we spoke to the lady in the photo to the right. She's actually living in Britain, and she's together with her husband in Namibia, They're having their honeymoon here,
Oh.
and hopefully this weekend she will meet up with the gentleman in the photo with her. So yes, that's almost 30 years ago, a bit of history and human interest.
And that is a classic touch by a Republican, I think, to really dig deep into history and come out with that. We hope, obviously, that, and again, it speaks to what I said earlier, that it's the two elections, 1989, that led to that photo, and this year's election are very similar in so many ways. So we hope they will also vote. I don't know whether the lady in Britain still possesses her Namibian documents, but yeah, that is our democracy growing.
I think not. Allgemeine Zeitung, and if you are German speaking, please excuse my German. Their lead story there is titled ECN verteidigt Wahlgeräte, and it's again about what the ECN says about the electronic voting machines and the EVM, saying this whole procedure is safe and secure. The lead photo also shows some of these machines being checked. The photo there by Mark Springer. And the other story, just quickly on the front page, also dealing with, there were some concerns raised yesterday when the NDF, the National Defence Force of Namibia, said they are going to be more visible and increase security during the elections. And I saw even on the press agency that the police chief, General Deitunga, is not very happy about this, because he says the army should have told him about that before. And something about that quickly from you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, for me, Danny, just to say that, of course, there's been a lot of social media talks, but threats and whatnot, so nothing can be taken lightly, so maybe it's a good proactive step.
Yes, so please let us know what's happening. We're going to cross now live via Skype. Journalist Elvira Hatting. Now, she's actually close by here at the Eros Post Office, which we a while ago reported that they're not open yet. Good day, Elvira. Please tell us, have voting now started at Eros Post Office here in Windhoek East, and what is the situation like there?
Good morning, Donnie. Yes, voting has started indeed here, and they are now currently first helping the elderly and pregnant women. But it is going very orderly here, and there is quite a long queue waiting at the post office to vote. So it's getting a bit hot, and I can see that's affecting people, but they are very patient people.
Just a quick one, Elvira, what was the delay, what was the cause of the delay initially?
It was actually the setup. I saw they were still busy putting up machines and also setting out chairs and organizing. So that was actually the reason.
Is Elvira, the queue you say is growing, and what is the mood like in the queue? What are people, maybe you overheard conversations there, you know, what you say everything is calm and peaceful. What are people chatting about, and did they bring water and something to eat while they wait?
Donnie, I think some of them maybe forgot to bring hats and water, but there is a lot that also remembered. Some even brought chairs. And yes, they are friendly, they are chatting, they are making jokes. So the mood is very peaceful. I haven't heard any arguments yet. They are, yes, waiting patiently at this stage.
And just, Elvira, the demographics of what you see in the queue, young people, old people, middle-aged, men, women, what seems to be the dominant demographic there?
Toivu, certainly there's a lot of young people here. If I judge by the length of the row for the elderly, and I judge by the ordinary length of the ordinary row, there's a lot of young people that showed up for this. So also women, men alike. I don't think there's more men than women necessarily. I think it's very evenly distributed.
Thank you very much, Elvira. That was Elvira Harting reporting here from one of the polling stations in Windhoek East. Now, Toivoet, speaking about Windhoek East, 5 years ago, they were one of the constituency which had a more than 100% voter turnout. And you know, sometimes people say that is suspicious, but it's not necessarily so, because in a general election like this, you don't have to vote in your constituency.
Yes.
So that is why you might actually see turnouts of more than 100% in a certain constituency. And you know, it might be also about where people work. If they are working today, even if it's a public holiday, which polling stations are closest to them. And the State House, of course, also in Windhoek East. So, I mean, the ruling party want to make sure they don't slip up in Windhoek East.
Yeah, I think that the logic is simple. I live on the other side of town, but my office here is close to, or is within Windhoek East. So I would probably also use this nearby polling station to do that. And if the numbers then go beyond 100%, it should be seen in the context, in that context.
Thank you, Toivo. And yes, we are about to show you some more clips from our journalists in the field. Like we've already heard, the President, His Excellency Hage Geingob, and First Lady Monica Geingos already voted early this morning, shortly after 7, I think, between 7 and 8. But we are joined by Frank Stefan. And Frank, what is the new information and video material you can share with us?
A while before everybody starts getting busy with this voting, but judging by the videos that we're getting in, I would think we've got very active voting going on. So as you can see on the clip there, President Geingob and his wife went quite early. So this was about half an hour or more ago. And he actually spoke to the press thereafter. So we'll give you a shorter clip later on that. As you can see, they're quite early and obviously accompanied by quite a number of guys. Second clip that we've got is from Kobabis. So Yolandi Nel is reporting from there.
Why were you here so early? Ik het gekom om te kom kies vir my government en vir my land. Laat ons iemand kry wat vir ons sal mooi kan lei en vir ons nie mooi dinge net nie, maar baie goed kan behandel.
And then we've got another clip from Archivarongo. Jana Marie Smith told us a bit about the senior citizens in Lycée Horaces Senior Center. Okay, I just hear that apparently there was not much to be heard on that clip. What they were basically doing, explaining the workings of the voting machine. Just for those of you who don't know, you need to always remember that you need to click on your vote as well as confirm it with the red button. And then the final one we've got is Leandra Lowe, who reported from the Kwizetmond Community Centre.
As you can see, the queues are not
This was
long
obviously
at
at the
all,
time when the
but
station
these
had
are
not
all
opened yet.
the early birds.
Right, and that's about what we've got for now. So it's coming in all the time. We actually had to put a bit of a break on our colleagues, because otherwise we would fill every half an hour 100% with clips coming in.
Thank you very much, Frank. We'll be speaking to Frank in a short while again, showing you some more clips from the field. Interestingly, again, Afrikaans, the lady speaking there in Kobabis, and she said what she wants is good leadership. That is why she is voting today, and I mean, it goes for the presidential and the parliamentary elections. So it's not only the president that must be a good leader, the opposition party representatives must be as well.
Obviously, Danny, everybody who presents themselves who subject themselves to this process to get elected are essentially by default leaders already in that essence. And they all have that obligation. We tend to look mostly at those that are ruling, correctly so, but it doesn't leave out the rest to also show that exemplary leadership. And what I wrote also in my editorial for today is to say leadership will be key in this election, especially when the results are announced, that people are able to, especially those who may end up on the losing side, that they use their tone, that leadership authority, to calm down their followers.
Yes, and we saw there at the coast, Leandria Low reporting that there's not long lines, and we're getting the same info from Kenya Kambawe. He's up in Rundu. So things earlier this morning also a bit slow there. So we would like to encourage you, if you are registered to vote, to go and bring out your vote sooner rather than later. Remember, chat with us here on Facebook Live. Give your comments. We've got someone actually watching, and we'll chat back to you. And also consider information you share with us on Facebook for sharing. Yeah, it's almost 8 minutes, well, a bit later, 7 minutes to 8 o'clock. And again, we'll be showing you a bit of statistics and taking a short break. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon. Welcome back to Namibia Media Holdings live broadcast about elections 2019. Now, for a newspaper business, quite groundbreaking what we are doing today. So yes, apologies for the few technical hiccups, but things are running smoother and smoother, and thanks for staying with us. Our discussion point at the beginning of this half hour is the presidential elections. So we will quickly just show a slide for you with the candidates. 11 of them, Toivu, running for the position of president there. And I think we must just also say that 2 of them, although their names are still on the EVM today, so you will see their names and faces and party logos. They've actually asked people to support the independent candidate, Panduleni Itula, and that is Henk Mach, Republican Party, and also Epaphras Mukwilongo of the Namibian Economic Freedom Fighters. So there's basically 9 contesting, we can say. Yes. And the question begs again, too many? Yes. Or not?
Yeah, I think too many. It's a democratic right for people to have as many as they want. But ideally, in thriving democracies globally, you would have primarily 2 candidates, and if more, just slightly more than that. It helps really but maybe some people would say we want to be spoiled with choice. We want a buffet of candidates, and maybe that's okay.
Now let us know here in the Facebook on the comments what you think about that issue. Should there, for example, maybe be stricter qualifications you have to meet to register as a presidential candidate? And interestingly enough, there was only one election where there were only 2 presidential candidates. Yes. In the presidential election here in Namibia. And that was in the year 94. Remember, obviously, in 1989, it was a constituent assembly election, so they didn't vote for president. The winning party then appointed the president with approval of the first National Assembly of the country. And at 94, it was 2, and then it became 4, it became 7, it became 12, it was 9 5 years ago, and now we're back to 11. That is as far as the presidential elections is concerned. Toivu, you want to talk about a story in the Namibian Sun, which people has now seen already? Let's ask the team to just bring it back up for us. There we go.
Yeah, so basically our page 3 for today, just also as a matter of fact, both stories are related to elections. One is complaints that were raised in New York where people voted and they feel that the process was not as transparent and open as it is made out to be. Of course, that version has been disputed, but that is that. And of course, the second story is the one I spoke about earlier, about ECN, as of Monday this week, still needing nearly 70 cars in Kunene region. The second slide that should play now is of our northern monthly supplement, Ewi Noli. Basically just our community stories there. One of a Chinese business group in the north that donated massively to schools in the north. I think they're meeting government halfway, which is commendable. And yeah, that should be it. It's in our paper today for those who may want to read further.
Yes, remember to get your copies of our daily newspapers today. And yes, we are ready, and we're going to cross very soon. We are going to go back to the ECN headquarters here in Windhoek. And on the line we have Octavia Tsibes. Good day, Octavia. What is cooking at ECN?
Good morning, Danny. It is very quiet here at the ECN headquarters, as you can see. The police are going around preparing to see if the war is quick enough. get the people in, enough people in when the results coming in. We have been informed that as from 7 p.m. slowly the results will be coming. So it's very quiet here. We also went over to and the queues are long and patient to vote. So it's happening.
Just, Octavia, if you can hear me, is there any voting taking place at the Eastern headquarters? Do they have a polling station there, or just logistical issues that are being handled there?
Toivo, there's nothing being done at headquarters. At the school behind the ECN headquarters polling station. So here there's just administrative work being done, being put in place, and so forth.
Octavia, yes, you say not a lot happening, but it seems in the background, and maybe you can just show us what you are seeing around you as well. It seems there's a lot of journalists there from early this morning, so it seems the journalists are ready for whatever is happening.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I can just show you what's happening. Everybody's preparing. So it's happening here. I can just show you.
Yes, okay, that was Octavia Tibes. Yes, there she's showing now us. We see there, I suppose it's the NBC. Yes, they are there. Of course, also today doing a live broadcast. We are moving now, walking with Octavia inside the ECN headquarters here in Windhoek in Namibia. You can see also for yourself the setup there. A stage to the left, and you'll see a studio there to your right, and it's on that stage, Toivo, I suppose that they are going to announce the final election results for this year, or maybe also make other important announcements.
Indeed, Danny. I think we'll come back to you, Octavia, later. Thank you very much for that great update. We'll talk to you later.
Yes, and then Frank just walked in, and it seems we have some breaking news here to share. Frank, what is the news from outside?
Yes, just to have context, we'll show you a clip now. Charles is actually quite frustrated in Chivarongo because the voter station hadn't opened yet.
Mijn naam is Charles. Ik is een voorzitter visor. De leid voor ons informatie doorgegeven. Het proces wat we moeten doormaken. Ik is geduldig om nog te wachten. Voor zoveel paar minuten voor ik dan zal gaan naar de volgende stemmingspunt toe. Ja. Maar het is wel die best. Dank je.
Right, so if it opens a bit late, that is one issue, but the bigger issue is we were just alerted by a reader on our electronic media that apparently there are problems with the EVMs in Marua Mall. So I would suggest that those people who planned on voting there try and get an alternative as fast as possible instead of standing in the row. Maybe over time it will come right again.
Thank you very much, Frank. Now, Toivo, unfortunately, that does not bode very well. It's about an hour after polling stations should have opened, and we are getting reports of problems. And it's easy to say we as Namibians will sort it out eventually, but this is not what we like to hear this morning.
I think we need to have this thing sorted, because the reason why some people showed up this early is for a reason. Either they want to cast their vote and go on with their daily lives, or they have even appointments. But we need to, we hope that as the day goes on, these nagging issues will be stretched out.
Yes, so that is problems reported from Chivarongo, also Marua Mall here in Eros. We had a problem initially this morning. If you are watching us on Facebook at the moment and you are experiencing problems yourself, please let us know exactly where that is, so that we can also follow up. And we'll also ask our team at the ECN headquarters to try to get feedback for us on that, because actually, according to the Code of Conduct and the way I understand the law, Toivo, if there are problems experienced, it must be reported also to the ECN headquarters.
Yes.
So they should be aware of it and they should be able to give explanations.
I think it's very important because, I mean, it has become a tradition in Namibia that after elections you have people now saying, oh, where I was, there was this problem and there was this problem, and the ECN would normally say there's nothing on record as from our side of any such incidences being reported. So I think it's good as they occur that they get reported.
Yes, but also remember, we are the land of the brave, Namibia. So please don't be discouraged. Report the problems, and but also make an effort to bring out your vote today. Now, yes, interesting times. If you are on Facebook now, please share your comments with us. Remember, hashtag election 2019, and also that if you want to WhatsApp something to us, 0811 7080, 0811 7080. Now, Toivo, yeah, we said we're not going to go there immediately, but the fish rod scandal, we actually had a poll in Republican online on our website and asked people, do they think this fishing quota allegations about bribery can or will affect the election outcome this year? And more than 90% of people said yes.
Yeah, it's true. It's a true reflection, I suppose, of what we have seen in the past couple of weeks. That's why you see now the ruling party trying to, they have been issuing a lot of statements in the past 2 weeks about how the media is trying to influence elections, including particularly the international media. But if a scandal comes forth on the eve of elections, we have no obligation whatsoever to wait until elections are over. Unfortunately, those are just the dynamics of processes like that. But we have seen angry people really saying, look, this cannot be accepted. Partially because they also feel that there isn't enough action being taken against those implicated in the scandal.
Now, yes, Mr. Bernard Eso, former Minister of Fisheries, he was successful with an urgent application to be released. And then yesterday, also we know that Mr. Saki Shangala, former Minister of Justice, and a businessman James Hatwiki-Lipi did return to Namibia, but very few information there. Apparently, as far as we know at least, no arrests or anything. So I suppose the gentlemen will be bringing out their votes also today.
Yes, they are making the country in time for elections. We tried at Namibian Sun to get comment from the authorities, police, because remember, there are two versions. One version is that the same basis on which Bernard Esau's warrant was withdrawn has now been applied to the rest of the guys. But we also hear the versions that, another version that says, no, those other ones are still valid. But there hasn't been any arrest, and we don't know whether there will be any. Not that I'm calling for any arrest, but we will see, especially by the end of this week, what would have happened in the process.
But also during elections, I think important that people vote with their heads, with a clear mind, a critical mind, and not based on emotions. And talking about manifests, many came very late. Some parties didn't share any, at least with us. Other days of a 50-page election manifesto counted.
Yeah, see, we've been, you'd recall that we've been doing reviews of manifestos here at NMH, and what has been interesting is that there are some issues that are not contained in some of the manifestos of parties. So if you are assessing parties, all parties on a particular issue, you'd actually realize that some parties have absolutely nothing to say about that aspect, which I suppose is maybe it's not their priority as a potential governing party. But you are right also in, because you want manifestos to come out as soon as possible so that really people have time to absorb them and make conscious decision.
What do you say? Please comment here on Facebook. Did you actually look at party manifestos the last couple of weeks or the last month or so? Is that a determining factor in your vote? And do you think that political parties and even presidential candidates in Namibia is using social media and new media enough to share their message and get support? Now we'll be back with you very shortly, and first we're going to look at some more statistics. Yes, Toivo, interesting. Yeah, it seems we have the man on the line, Eleni Nanjatu. Now, he's up in Elau Nafidi. Good day, Eleni.
Good morning, Namibia. Good morning there in the studio. We are coming live from the Oshikango in the town of Elau Nafidi, at the border with Angola. I came here early in the morning, around 7, when the polling stations opened. I was already here. I can see the mood. People are ready to vote. I was even at one of the busiest open markets in the country, that is the Chicago open market. It's quiet. All the businesses are closed. People are at the polling station. They are ready to vote. Yeah, especially where I am now. I'm at one of the polling stations in the town, and it's situated nearby the border, and it's one of the church. And the people came to cast their vote in numbers. A lot of people are queued up here. According to the presiding officer, the process is a bit slow, but nevertheless, this could not discourage people. Many people are here to cast their vote. They, despite that it's quite a bit hot, though here in the morning it's quite a bit hot, but people are here in numbers to cast their votes, even though the process, as we said, it's very slow. According to the presiding officer, the process is very slow because of the GGV device that is not working, and now they switch to the manual system. But they are saying that apparently they have reported the situation to the returning officer, who promised to respond to the situation in a very short while. With me here, it's one of the voters, the mayor for Elau Nafidi, Mr. Eliasel Nipangelwa. Mr. Nipangelwa is also in the queue to cast his vote. Maybe just to hear what is Mr. Nipangelwa have to say.
Thank you. We are here. I woke up early in the morning. By 6, I'm here already. And I found about 80 people in front of me, those who came early before me. It's mostly known that as a mayor, I was supposed to go might be to vote to the first, but me, I'm also a citizen. I have to be in the queue also to know that staff in the queue, and it's my normal practice. They have started a little bit late, few minutes past the 7. They did not start exactly at 7. I have not even intervened to ask why they have not started on time, but now they have started, and the process, one might say, is a little bit slow because they don't have that scanning machine. They are checking the book to find out the names, which is taking a little bit of time. But so far, the program is going on well. Maybe lastly, I should just say we should vote in peace and peaceful, so we just need peace. Thank you.
Yes, a message there from the Mayor Toivo. Eleni, we are back to you, and I think Toivo has got a question for you.
Yes, Toivo.
Yes, Eleni. So is to really say that first that is the longest queue we've seen all morning, and very impressive about the determination by people there to stay there and vote. But as a regular visitor to that town and that region, what are some of the issues that are likely to drive this election? What kind of issues that you think people will be voting for or against without politicizing anything?
Looking at the situation of the Ohangwena region, it's one of the poorest regions in the country. We are talking about the water issue, water crisis that we are experiencing in that the residents of this region are experiencing. I think what they are going to vote for, they are going to vote for development and maybe social development that will uplift their well-being from the poverty situation, and their hope is that their vote will bring them all sort of social development that they need in the town. And we also remember the situation of drought that is affecting the country, and many people are hoping that once they did their justice, the issue of drought will also be addressed, being in the government program that is being introduced for drought relief for the human beings and their livestock. I think those are the main issues that Ohangwena people will be voting for.
Thank you very much, Eleni, and goodbye. We'll be joining you later during the day. So Eleni is going to cover a couple of other spots as well. As you say, it's different. There's also a bit of technical problems, but the lines are longer. But without further ado, we've got some more WhatsApp images and videos to share with you. So Frank is back with us.
Yes, thank you. Like I said, the messages keep on coming. We first show you a clip of which Denver Kisting took down at Keetmanshoop of Amablachte Community Hall. Is it coming up, I should suppose, now?
Yes, it seems they are back with us. Apologies for that bit of technical difficulty. It's almost 25 minutes past 8. We'll be shortly back with you and bring you those clips. Stay tuned, and we're looking at some statistics before we return. Welcome back. It's Dani and Toivo talking elections 2019, and the stats we're going to look at quickly compares the registered voters per region and how it changed from 5 years ago to this year. And maybe just to highlight a couple is those that grew with more than 10%, and it's interestingly enough the small Karas with 12% growth in registered voters, Khomas 11%, Oangwena 12%, and Oshana 11%. Now remember, you can go to the website elections.my.na, and there you can view this and many more statistics. We've got Frank Stefan back, and he's sharing some of the work of our journalists in the field.
Yes, thank you. Like we previously showed you, but then unfortunately technology caught up with us. We've got a little clip from Amaplagte, which Denver Kisting.
Joseph Winstein is the presiding officer at the Amaplagte Community Hall polling station. Good morning, Joseph.
Good morning, sir.
You just concluded the pre-poll test.
Yes, we just concluded the pre-poll test with the party agents. We have different party agents. We have from SWAPO, PDM, as well as LPM, as well as someone from the independent candidate.
And how did the pre-poll test go?
No, it was conducted in a fair manner. We ensured that every partner is working on the ballot unit as well as the control unit. The election agents are also happy with the results.
And are you ready for this day, this very important day?
I'm ready for the day. We only have a few minutes till 7, so we just concluded with the pre-poll test. So I believe my team we are ready to start with the process.
Very well. Any final remarks from you?
No, I hope we have a successful election this year, and whoever's lucky wins. So yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, and then the next clip is one which we promised you earlier. It is the one about the president who spoke to Esther Kamati here in
Yeah, sorry, I'm not going to worry about your cell phone.
How do you come and question today? Don't you see the motive behind it? Well, you know, but I wouldn't have campaigned so hard if I was not expecting good results. If you're following me around, I really campaigned. So why shouldn't I get results? If I lost all I said, look, I'm a Democrat.
What did you say to all Namibians voting? What is your message to all Namibians voting?
I said that should come out it is not war. I hope whoever is going to win, lose, must accept it. Then we go back to build Namibian house. It's not the war. It's not the end of the world. We are just exercising our democratic rights.
Question of Elisenheim, where Francis Steinberg took a photo for us. Shows the people waiting before the station still opened. This was like earlier in the morning. And then the next clip that we've got is of Samuel Mbambo at Kavango East Regional. He is the Kavango East Regional Governor, and he's not from Kenya. Quite sure that we've got the right clip. But be that as may, on the picture you can see that he clearly went for voting. Okay, and then we would like to spend a few minutes on, well, seconds on the voting clip. There seems to be some confusion amongst people on how to use the EVMs. It's actually quite simple. Compared to a calculator, that's what you did of the ECN, basically explaining to everybody that you just simply press the buttons, making use of your choice. On there you can see, if you press a button and it's wrong, it's not that serious. You can press it again and take an alternative choice. So you simply press it again as it shows there, and now you take your next choice. But just remember, once you press the red button, it's done. Then unfortunately, whether you've taken the right choice or not, it doesn't matter anymore. So very important to just keep your mindset right.
Thank you very much, Frank. Yes, that is indeed very important information for our voters, how to work the machine. Interestingly enough, Toivo, just to go back, some of those clips showed events earlier this morning, and President Age Geingob also saying there, the Namibian House is an open house. It's open for democratic competition in the elections from any party or any person. He said also it's not a war, and he emphasized that whatever the outcome is, it will be accepted also by his party. So very, very strong messages and important messages, I think.
I think that is the kind of message that we need to hear from particularly that level. We don't see it very much on the African continent, leaders prepared for anything. I remember in 2017 when the SWAPO Congress was held, President Geingob was saying that he already had 2 prepared speeches, one for win, another one for lose. So he made provision for both. And so if he is saying that we must accept the results however they are, it means that he has also included himself in that space, and that is good.
Not to put the cat amongst the pigeons, but after you saw that video now, so you can change the party you vote for by just pressing the button, and then you must press the button to confirm your vote. But there's no button for none of the above, for example. Yes. So when you go to vote, you must either vote for a party or actually stay at home, or yes. So the protest vote is actually, and there are very good reasons, but just shortly, what do you think about that? We are ready also for a live interview, but what is your opinion on that, Toyo?
No, I think you are right in saying that there's no middle ground. You either vote or you don't. And ideally we want people to vote. So when you go out there, you have to vote. So you have no option to say, yes, there are 9 presidential candidates here, but I don't want any of them, so I'm pressing here. There's no such option, so you have to vote for someone.
And so something the parties must take up with the ECN and maybe the public as well. We are now going to speak to, I'll get to good day, and what is happening in Tsumeb?
Good morning, Danny. How are you doing, sir?
Here
in Tsumeb, the atmosphere is very good. I'm here at the non-stop old age home, if you can see the sign behind me. And I'm going to take a stroll into the polling station now, because we've been here, they've been busy since 7 o'clock. They started right on time, and things have been going very smoothly at this particular polling station. There's lots of people, as you can see. I'm moving towards the lines now, but I've spoken this morning to the polling official, the returning officer, and she assured me that everything is moving smoothly on this side. As you can see, the people are quite relaxed, and the situation is very orderly, although some do turn around because they get a little bit scared by the queue. But still, it seems that the best idea is just to come and finish voting as soon as possible, because if you wait till later, chances are the queue is going to get a lot longer, and the wait is going to get a lot worse. But for now, as you can see, everything is quite in order. There are police officials as well as ECN officials who are sorting things out. Let us just have a discussion here quickly with Mayor Elsie. Goeiemorgen Elsie, hoe gaan het vandaag met u? Goed, dankie. Goed, dankie. Kan je mij zeggen hoe lang wacht je nou al op? Je wacht niet zo lang. Oh, oké. Hoekom voel je het belangrijk om te komen stemmen? Aha. Aha. Heb je enige boodschap voor al die jong mensen?
Ja, hulle moet allemaal staan.
Baie dankie mevrouw Elsie. Nou, ons wens je een voorspoedige dag en gelukkig met die stem.
Thank you very much, Algetu, and we've already got new information for you. Thank you, Algetu, and we're going to show you an interview that Eleni Nanjatu recorded earlier. So yes, we again see there long lines in the north, from where central north in Namibia, where Eleni Nanjatu is reporting from Toivo. Yes, even in all the images of voting lines we've seen now, very peaceful and orderly, and also I see people do follow the rules. I didn't see really people that is dressed in political party attire or anything like that. And we hope, please let us know where you are voting. We hope that all these little initial problems that we already have spoken about and reported has been sorted out. And yes, so
yeah, I think
it looks a bit better maybe.
Yeah, look, I mean, you were reading out statistics earlier of how each region has actually increased the number of people registered for voting, which is very interesting, and also the orderly manner in which elections have been conducted so far, very encouraging. We hope it stays that way the whole day.
Remember to go and bring out your vote. We are ready now for Frank Stefan with some more video information coming from the field.
Hi, actually it is breaking news. So we just heard from people out at Theo Kachimune, a bit impatient because things are not going as they should. They opened more than an hour late. You can see here they've just tried to get the senior citizens in now. But obviously some people have actually turned away. One of the women said no, she'll rather do her washing at home. And then as part of that news at Baines, we just got a message from one of the readers. They've been standing for 2.5 hours and nothing is moving. So just beware and stay away from those sites.
Thank you very much, Frank. Yes, Toivo, the two of us were getting a bit optimistic there, and then once again we hear problems, polling stations opening late and lines not moving. But I think what is important, Namibians are known for our peacefulness and our patience often. So I think that's also our message to you. It's important to vote. Please be patient and do it peacefully.
I agree, Danny. I think we have I mean, you want elections to be decided by actual participation and not by apathy. So it would be good if we know the final outcome is a result of people having expressed their democratic vote.
Thank you, Toivo. And we're going to take a short break now, and we're going to change shifts also with 2 new presenters. Thank you for watching.
26, 7, 8. Hello, hello, can you hear? Studio. Okay. Cancel isso in the house studio.
Dirk, hello, Dirk.
Dirk is
Hello, Dirk.
listening to everything in the studio. And don't worry.
Oh, het ek nou nee, ek klik gou. Hallo?
Hear me?
Yes. Yes. Dirk?
Yes, I can hear you very clearly.
Hallo Dirk? Kan hy hoor, maar ek hoor niks.
Hello, Jeremy.
Cut Skype. We're not doing Skype for the next half an hour. We'll take the next half an hour. We just bring all the talking will be without Skype. So wherever that Skype program is, Skype will do it. We're not doing Skype for the next half an hour. Let's go live.
Jesus.
With the clips ready? Ek kan nou nie goed kyk nie. Dit is so demokraties.
And welcome back, viewers. Thank you for joining us as we continue with our live coverage of the 2019 Namibian elections. Jo-Marie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing perfectly fine, thank you, Ashley. Hopefully you too, and hopefully everybody else watching out there. Yes, we've been officially into the election for just over 2 hours, and interesting clips, stuff that we've already been sent. Big delays somewhere or at places, and other places seemingly progressing well, Ashley.
Yes, it seems to be progressing well in some places, a couple of hiccups here and there, but we must keep the faith and keep going to the polling stations.
Keep the faith and keep patient. The patience is a big thing here at the moment, it seems like.
Just in terms of some of the stats in terms of the female and male voters. As you can see, lots of females that have registered. I think the females are at about 52-53% compared to the males. So the hands of the kind of fate of the nation is in the hands of females today. What do you say about that, Jo?
Do you want my honest answer? Girl power, woman power. Yes, very interesting stats coming out, Ashley, and one would like to get a few analysts' opinion on this. Of course, massive gender issues in the country that might be feeding this drive for females saying, you know, the only way to change things would be to go and vote. That would be one of my gut feelings.
It's not Namibia is not an easy country for women to live in, is it?
No, it's not an easy country for women to live in at all. I've been looking at some stats myself just around the issues. Now, we know one of the massive issues in the country is gender-based violence. We work for newspapers. It's out there every single day. The stats are absolutely alarming. So I would imagine that gender-based violence would be one of the issues women consider when they're heading to the polls today.
Also, according to the World Bank, about 44% of households in Namibia are female-headed.
Exactly. So you're looking at an average size of a household of about 4+ in Namibia, plus the woman, so she's driving a household or, you know, keeping them alive, five people more or less on average in a very difficult labor market at the moment.
You spoke about that earlier when you were introduced by Dani around the economics and the economy and what role that will possibly play today in where people make their mark or press the EVM machine,
That's right.
so to speak. You know that in Namibia, the unemployment rate, generally speaking, is about 34%.
Yes.
Youth unemployment is about 1 in 2 youth being at home at the moment. Lots of them females. So there's a lot for females, especially to think about as they go to the polls today.
There are indeed. Now, if you look at the official statistics, Ashley, we've got an official unemployment rate of about 33.4%. And if you break that down into a male and female, your male unemployment rate in the country about 32.5% at the moment, whereas women stuck at 34.3%. So women definitely bearing the brunt in the current employment market, and it would be definitely something to consider. If you look at the Namibia Statistics Agency, they brought out labor stats last year. Now, according to those stats, if you just look at the age group of 20 to 24, so these are normally your graduates coming out of university, matriculants, late matriculants, that type of thing, you're sitting with a female unemployment rate in this group of more than 60%.
That's shocking.
Absolutely horrifying. Whereas your male unemployment rate in the 20 to 24 year age group is about 53%. So definitely women have an agenda to vote.
And just in terms of as well, if you look at the justice system, lots of issues there with maintenance. We've run a couple of stories this year.
You have
already,
brilliant stories.
Around tens of thousands of males who are not supporting their children. Those are the kinds of issues that I would also think that females would look at. Which party is going to be harder in terms of getting the justice system geared to taking care of female needs?
Implementing the system, getting it faster, getting results faster, those will definitely be the type of thing that women look at. Also, of course, the whole issue of gender equality, massive in Namibia. We know that if you look at trends, yes, there is some increase or some improvement, but in general, women still fighting very hard for equality in the workplace. If you look at the Employment Equity Commission's latest stats, they show that in 2017-18, there were only 260 executive directors in Namibia that were women. In contrast, you had more than 1,000 men.
That doesn't seem fair.
You know, no, it doesn't seem fair.
Yeah.
Also, of course, big issues in terms of salary, average wages.
I was going to ask you about that. There seems to be a discrepancy in the salaries of males.
Definitely, women still fighting to be paid the same salary for the same job. And also just going back to a bit of EEC stats, you had in 2017-18 about 3,400 women that were promoted and more than double men. So big issues.
Yeah, Jo-Marie, let's go, we're going to discuss that a bit further, but let's go to Kavango West, where Kenya Kambowe is at the moment. He recorded this interview for us earlier today.
Can you please briefly tell us how you feel about this year's National Assembly and presidential elections?
The way I feel this election for this year, it's a wonderful, it is a dynamic election, and I'm very happy to be here, to be as one of the voters.
Okay. And I assume that you took part in the 1989 election, the first elections of this country. I just want to find out how does it feel, how did it feel back then? And how does it feel today?
No, at that time, because it was new, we did not know. I remember at that time I went early to vote because we did not know. But all this year, I was one of the voters. Even this year, there was a lot of question. People, some had said they are not coming to vote. But I see this is the opportunity for us. This is the opportunity. The more we vote, the more we see the great and the peace in our country.
Okay.
Yeah.
As you're about to cast your vote now, tell me how important or what do you expect in the next 5 years?
No, what I expect is in these 5 years that's coming is hard working and peace and prosperity and changing is what we want to see in our country.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your message to the youth, what is your message to the youth in terms of those who are not yet at the polling stations?
You know, let me say, as for myself, I came here 6:30 early in the morning.
Yes.
And I want to tell for
that was quite an inspirational interview there.
Yes.
Just encouraging people
by
to
a
come
woman.
and vote. By a woman, no less. We're now going to go over to Frank Stefan again with clips from the field.
That's right. We've got a number of further contributions from, first of all, Esther Kamati, who actually took a little video of Nangolo Mbumba at Mandume Primary School.
It's true. You cannot learn politics only from the books. This is a good experience to be part of the action. Whatever party you represent, whatever leader you follow, does not matter. Be part of the action.
My last question.
Right, then we've got a further one from Tsumeb that was taken up by Ogeto Greg. It's actually a photo and a video. Liita Vapunduka, the first person to actually vote this morning at Tsumeb Primary School. Right, and another clip from Uhone Klage at Oshakati. He basically just told us about the Oshakati voting that goes on. And yeah, and also at Perez's secondary school, which apparently started 1 hour late. This was
How are
obviously
you
quite,
today?
quite a problem.
Good, good. What is your name, please?
My name is Ms. Wapunduka.
Ms. Wapunduka, tell us from what time have you been waiting to vote today?
I have been here for 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay, and why do you think it's important to come and vote?
It's very important to vote because it's my right.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
What's your message to the people who will come a bit later?
I just want to tell them that they must come and vote, that's their right to vote.
Good, good.
In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen, amen. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Hallelujah.
Good luck today.
Same to you.
Thank you very much.
Amen.
Amen.
Right, that's it for now. I'll be seeing you guys later. Dani will now take over the clips. So until then.
Thank you very much, Stefan. It was very interesting. Frank, Stefan.
Jabari, I just want to talk a little bit about the kind of enthusiasm that Namibians are having today to actually go out there and make a difference in their country and in their personal lives.
Yes, actually, you know, we both of us have seen quite a couple of elections, and what I find very interesting this time around is that it seems as if people are very issue-driven. In the run-up to the elections, we've had people being very vocal about social issues like housing, health, corruption, the budget. So it seems like there's an absolutely growing opinion that going to the polls is your way of helping to change the system.
And of course, a very interesting statistic around 400,000 so-called born-frees that are going to be casting, or potentially going to be casting their votes today. So the young people will have a major, major say in the outcome of this election.
And of course, they are also the emerging vote, hey? Because they are going to be the vote that will shape the future of the country. So very exciting time. I can just imagine how exciting it must be for them to be able to go to a voting station for the first time today. I remember when I had to vote for the first time, it was such an empowering feeling.
Yes.
Actually having a say in the way things are done in your country.
And just in terms of you know, people going out today, we want to encourage you from our side just to make that effort. Obviously, we want you to join us and watch us for the whole day, but make that time for an hour or two to go out and go and vote.
And I see that Bernardus Swatboy has arrived to cast his vote. Also, a very interesting development there, and would be a very interesting trend to watch in this election.
Okay, so
Good day, can you hear me? Volume is well. I can hear you.
Is shining.
I can hear you.
The world is a bright
I can
place.
hear
It's a beautiful, beautiful place to be in at the moment. I can't hear Albie.
Can't hear anything, hallo Albie.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Maar ons hoor absoluut niks.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Back live.
Thank you.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Let nou net hierso iets vreeslik getorring en toe kom maar iets reg.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Hallo, hallo, check, check.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Daar het ek so klik gehoor van Albie.
I can hear you.
Is 'n
I can
connection
hear you.
hierso. Daar's hy. Hallo Albie.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah, it's a bad connection here. The problem is here.
Can we get some tape, please?
Ek kan nou hoor.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
We can hear you too. We just have a bad connection, so we're fixing that with some tape. But we can hear you.
Keep it to the subject.
So is the next Skype interview with Arvin? Thank you.
This cable.
We gaan los. Volgende een is veronderstel om Erwin te wees. It's a hot topic nowadays, Ashley. Left and right.
What does that even mean?
What does that even mean? But do you know where the whole concept of left and right came from? Apparently, it goes back as far as the French Revolution, which, if my history is not too bad, it was 1789.
Yeah.
Now, left and right then had nothing to do with politics. If you in the National Assembly then, people who were right were literally on the right-hand side of the king, and left was on the left-hand side of the king. Of course, through ages, that has now changed dramatically. I do find it an interesting topic, though. Do you still think we've got left and right streams in Namibia?
I just think, generally speaking, if you look at kind of liberation movements over the years, especially in Southern Africa, there's always been a strong leaning towards, during the struggle, strong leaning to socialism, communism.
Yes.
That obviously changed after the Berlin Wall fell.
Yes.
In 1989, and people then had to embrace the New World Order. So former liberation movements then, you could say, essentially moved to the right. But what also happened was that the kind of worker formations within these former liberation movements had to obviously try to keep them in check in terms of still advocating for workers' rights, rights of the unemployed, etc. So that's quite a similar situation in Namibia. But just from your side as a economic reporter, do you think that the labor unions in Namibia have actually done a good job in terms of keeping the ruling party in check, in terms of aspiring for the rights of workers and for the unemployed?
Look, yes, it obviously is a very controversial topic. From a journalist side, I think one would like to see that the unions come to the party, no pun intended, both when it comes to the government of the day, but then also when it comes to the private sector, and that they are more organized, that they are more effective. I often get the idea that there's not strong enough follow through, and that if I was a worker, I would feel that there's a little bit of a misrepresentation in fighting for me with everything you've got.
There's also the issue of kind of co-opting union leadership into the ranks of the elite.
Yes.
Obviously, we've seen that across the board in the region. If you want to quiet the workers' voice down, you give someone a big seat in parliament, and suddenly they're singing with the rest of the choir.
Yes, yes. or a little bit of a business interest, etc., and then things become very muddled.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden the interest becomes a bit blurred.
Yes. And just in terms of left and right as well, we've heard recently the ruling party, SWAPO, kind of coming up with a kind of socialism, this kind of ideology, socialism with Namibian characteristics. But I just wanted to kind of get agreement with you that ideology hasn't really played a major role in the election campaigns this time around.
Yes, I agree with you completely there. As I've said before, it seems as if people are taking bread and butter issues into consideration, and that the ideology frame of mind has sort of moved to the backbench.
And that's a good thing. I think across the board, the media has tried, I think, for the last few months, just to get people to kind of, or even parties, to actually focus on the issues and not drag us back to the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, when the Cold War was the big thing, and to focus on what's actually happening now and solutions for what's happening now in the country.
Very much so. I do find that there is a shift now. Ideological promises simply don't cut it anymore in Namibia. People now want practical solutions that will be implemented, and they're looking for a party that will be a government that will make a difference on the ground. It's not about ideology anymore.
And that's, for me, that's a very, very good thing.
I think that's a brilliant progression in the democracy.
And that's what we're all about today, is to strengthen our democracy.
Indeed.
Obviously, it's always good, like the President said, to have contestation, but to always know that we're not enemies because we contest.
No, of course not.
We Namibians, we love peace, we love stability, but there's also room for us to contest as different political formations in the country.
Yes, we're going to cross over to Adolf Kare for a Skype interview. Adolf is at Henties. Good morning. Adolf, can you hear us?
Yes, I can definitely hear you. I'm here at the Henties Bay Community Hall, and a lot of people have come to cast their democratic rights to vote for their next leader. And the people are coming here, and I'm actually also with Rachel Narcis, who is the presiding officer here at the polling station, and she has a few comments and things that you want to share with the public.
Adolf, we seem to have a hard time hearing you. Can you still hear us?
Yes, I can definitely hear you.
Wonderful. Adolf, how far are things progressing well? Are there any problems?
Yes, we actually started a little bit slow. We started with around 5 people at on 7 o'clock, and then the queue started moving a bit, and the people progressed to about 20 or so, and I think the process of inside has improved, and it has actually made the queue to move a little bit, or actually a lot faster. That's what has made the queue look a little bit short, but things are actually moving out here.
Adolf, just a quick one from my side. What does the gender representation look like in the lines there in terms of male, female, and of course youth?
To be honest with you, when it comes to the demographics, I've been a little bit surprised. Looking at age, I've seen a lot of the people coming to queue up to vote. I've not really seen a lot of people, first voters, but also the working class, or as we like to call also come here to cast their vote. But very few people who are young have to vote. The location of where the place is, basically in town. And a lot of people probably went to vote at other stations that are closer to home.
Thank you very much, Adolf. We'll keep in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
interesting. Looks like it's a bit cold there.
It's a bit. We hope that the trickle will become a flood later on.
Which is more than a lot of people can say at a lot of polling stations around the country. Apparently very hot there, but nice to not only see generational difference in the queue, but also various ethnic groups.
Yes, and various kind of classes of people as well, which is very, very good. Very good.
Very good age mix too, etc. We now have Donnie Boyson. He will be coming in with some news.
Thank you, guys. Nice to be back, but in a different role. We're going to play you some clips from the journalists in the field. The first one is coming from the lady private hospital here in Windhoek. This is coming from Alvira Attendaar, and it's just showing us the lines there and how many people are waiting to cast their votes, and everything there looks very peaceful as well. And everywhere people are complaining there about slowness and procedures and polling stations opening up a bit late. The next one is an interview, and it comes from Gubabas. It's Yolanda Nel.
Good morning, I'm Yolanda Nel. I'm reporting from the Gubabas municipality here in the Windhoek region. So, what is your name?
My name is Shoza.
And why did you decide to vote today?
As for me as the youth, I just decided to vote for change, and just to bring up change in Namibia. So actually, my voice has to be heard.
And what changes are you hoping to see after this election?
Better jobs provided for the youth, better house allowance for the youth as well, better plots have to be sold to the youth as well, because the youth, actually everything doesn't go to the youth, so just want change.
And is this the first time you are voting?
This is my first time voting, yes.
Are you excited?
I'm excited, yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm Yolanda Nel, reporting from the Windhoek region. Goodbye.
Now that is from the east, and then we're going all the way west to Walvis Bay. Now this is a still image, and I want the guys to zoom in, Ashley and Jo Marie. Look at this lady, her name is Carol Eck, and full screen will even be better, but that's how you must be kicked out, ready with your cool box, your hat, your chair and everything ready to bring out your weight. Well done, Carol. And if you're on Facebook, give her lots of likes. And so send us some similar picture. The next one is also an interview again. Comes from Umugomba in the north. And this is a report by Ogonetla.
I'm fine. How are you finding the election process as an observer so far?
The election process is going well. Everything's okay. All the machine is working functioning very well. We are not experiencing any difficulty.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that was Paulinus Amutse. He's actually an observer, and I've got one final one for you. We're trying to vary it. So we're going down all the way south to Keetmanshoop, and Yemima Bekes spoke to a couple of voters who are also not happy chappies.
Okay, we are very disappointed by the process because we have been here since 6 o'clock, and according to rumors, party agents arrive late and we have to stand. So polling station only open after an hour. And we don't trust the machines.
The other people who just left the state.
Some of the people just left without voting.
Were there many people that left?
I cannot say many, but
More than 10.
Some people.
How do you feel about the process in general? Are you going to remain to cast your vote?
Yes, I have to cast my vote because it's one of my constitutional rights to do that. I just hope that the election will be free.
Yes, guys, that's all from me. I tried to pick something from the length and breadth of Namibia, north, south, east, and west. And I've been in the studio since, most of you guys, since 6 o'clock this morning. So I'm looking forward to my first break so I can go and cast my vote.
Thank you so much, Dani, for that contribution from your side.
Very interesting mixed bag of feelings and opinions, but very nice. We spoke about the enthusiasm of the youth just now, and wasn't that a beautiful clip? The excitement of that first vote.
That's what we want to see. We want people to be excited, and we want people to be active and to be a part of this very momentous day for Namibia.
But then also, we could hear very clearly the massive expectations from the youth.
Obviously, there's massive expectations going into this election. People are suffering, breadwinners at home. We just want, obviously, things to change for the better in the country. And now we've got a Skype call coming in from Elisenheim.
Okay, we've got a little bit of a technical problem there, but we'll get it back as soon as we can. And then that lady sitting there with a cooler bag.
Ready for anything.
It looks like an outing. All she needs is a book.
Yeah, we must go prepared. Namibians are always prepared.
Always
for anything.
prepared.
Yeah.
And it's also about attitude. It seems like we've got that Skype interview now. It's with Francoise. Francoise, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning, Francoise. Where are you calling us from?
I'm here at Elisenheim Estate. It is the first time that we are voting in Elisenheim in Windhoek Rural.
Oh, okay.
And what does the turnout look like?
Oh, here a long queue since 6 o'clock and started a little bit late. There were some hiccups with the events, but I think about 20 minutes later, everybody was ready to vote, and of course they took in the elderly people first. It's going slowly, but it's peaceful. Yeah, it's going well.
Francoise, can you tell us a bit about the vibe in the lines? Are people a bit kind of apprehensive, or are they excited?
Yeah, the vibe is very peaceful, and some people brought chairs and hats and umbrellas and a cup of coffee. Yeah, so it's really peaceful, and people are chatting away and just waiting for their turn to vote.
And in terms of the mix of people in the line, Francois, in terms of age, gender?
Everybody is in line here. It's from young till old, from black and white, all colors are here, all languages are here. Yeah, also, what was interesting, the chief election officer, Mr. Tumjoro, he's also a resident at Elisenheim, and he was here since very early this morning.
Nice to hear that they committed so early to also cast their vote. Francois, thank you very much for keeping us abreast of developments. We'll speak to you later.
Thank you.
And let's see some more stats. welcome back.
We're back indeed. We're still looking at the gender issue. And in terms of the candidates for this year, the National Assembly candidates from the political parties, I see there's only 3 parties where there are more women candidates than there are male candidates. We have another live Skype interview, and this time it's from Kenya.
Oh, and he's in Kavango East.
Yeah, he's in Rundu Urban.
Oh,
that's right, Kavango East, as you can say. Hi, Kenya, can you hear us?
Hello, Kenya.
How are you?
Good. How are things your side?
No, things are very well this side.
I see there's long lines of people.
Yeah, no, this one's one of the shortest ones in town.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes.
And how are things at the polling station? What has there been any hiccups this morning so far?
Yeah, no, basically there was some hiccups in Sawiemwa, whereby control units were not operating, so they had to start like 45 minutes late.
And in terms of, are there a lot of young people in the line there?
Yeah, it depends on the polling station on where they are situated. Like I'm in town right now, there are young people, but going to the not that much.
Germany, have you got anything for Kenya?
Kenya, have you been speaking to some of the people around you? Are there some specific issues that they're bearing in mind when they're voting?
No, basically the biggest challenge here, knowing that Kavango has a 68.2 unemployment rate, that's one of the challenges that they pointed out in terms of unemployment. We want unemployment addressed as soon as possible.
Yeah, of course, Kavango, both Kavango East and West, both regions with very high unemployment figures. But the mood, very peaceful, and people are patient?
Yeah, people are patient. They are very patient. They are sitting in the queue. Although there's some kind of heat here, they are prepared to wait and cast their vote.
Anything else from you?
Yes, Kenya. I just wanted to know in terms of gender as well. Are there lots of females in the line?
At this moment in time, I cannot give you a clear answer. But all I can say is that both genders are represented, as well as senior citizens. They have stand up in quite a big number.
And Kenya, on a lighter note, does it seem like there's going to be some rain there today?
After having received rain yesterday, I hope so, but I believe that we might receive rain today.
Kenya, thank you very much for speaking to us. We'll keep in touch. Goodbye. Technology always still an issue, no matter how non-intimidated you are by it.
Some of us older guys, we still getting used to it.
Very much so.
But, yeah, it helps, It helps at the end of the day. Yeah, so you were talking earlier about male and female candidates.
That's right. In terms of the 3 parties, where women outweigh the men, so to speak, hopefully figuratively, not literally. You're looking at the UDF and SWAPO and the NDP. Those are the parties where the female nominations are more than the male. We have got an interview with Yemima Bekes coming up. She, of course, is in the south.
My name is Joseph Garoos. I am 64 years old. And I came this morning to this polling station to cast my vote. I've been voting all these years whenever there is time for voting. But this year is quite different. We have witnessed a lot of corruption, and the leadership is there is a sense of entitlement. They must eat and eat and eat, and things are not going well in this country. Therefore, we have to bring about change, and that is why I have decided to come and cast my vote so that things can move in the right direction.
From the youth to the elders.
To the elders.
And very much the same message.
Very much the same message. The message that I'm hearing also as well this morning is around kind of elitism, the few benefiting at the expense of the many. That's going to play a part today in where people, I suppose, cast their votes.
Absolutely. People fed up with allegations of corruption.
Welcome, and we're back with some videos from the regions. Now we're going to start out with something from Rundu again, and Kenya Kambowe spoke to yet another voter about his opinions.
Mr. John, can you tell me how do you feel for just casting your after casting your vote?
I'm very happy because this is to come to vote. It's very important because this is a democracy here in Namibia.
Yes.
To vote the new leaders can see what's going to happen. Maybe there is some change can come.
Okay. And tell me, looking at the turnout of the voters then in the queue that were with you, how do you feel? Do you think people are excited to vote today, or do you think that more people are not here today?
Well, I think the people is happy to come.
Yes.
But the queue is very long.
Yes.
But important issues is that the older also is having his own queue.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm very happy for that. But I think the people are going to finish before 9 o'clock.
Okay. And having casted your vote, I just want to know, what do you expect to happen in the next 5 years?
We want to know something can happen, especially in the rural area.
Yes.
Because the people in the rural area is suffering too much.
Yes.
Our councillor is running the whole country, but after voting the people, the councillor disappeared. The people, our leader is not to listen to the people. This is not good. The people now is tired for that.
Okay.
So now we request now after for this election, the leader must do something to bring development to the rural area and also to look to the older people.
Okay. And what is maybe your message to those who are probably not yet going, who are at home, who refuse to go and vote? What is your message to them?
Yes, I know that the people is tired to vote, but nothing can happen. Now the people has decided that no, we're not going to vote because we are tired for this. I request these people to come soon as possible to vote, because this is not good to say that no, there is no development, I'm not receiving the work, so we are suffering, no water, no road. Now you say I will not come to vote. No, I request these people to come also to vote. Even you have a voter card, you can come to vote.
Okay, no, thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
From the Kavango region, we are moving back all the and I will speak over this clip to for you. This is the independent presidential candidate Itula at the Mandume Primary School here in Katatura a while ago to also vote in elections 2019. Yes, well-known figure there, moving towards the poll booth, followed by a couple of journalists also wanting to show that sometimes controversial candidate in certain orders are also exercising his democratic rights. A shorty quickly then from Windhoek police station. What are the young people doing while they are waiting to vote?
Advocating for change, and I want my voice to be heard. And we are just busy playing cards so that we don't get bored and maybe decide to go home. So we are entertaining ourselves so that we can be here up until we have voted.
That footage was by journalist Esther Kamati, and we're ending from our journalists in the field with a clip coming from Ochivarongo. And these guys, I must tell you beforehand, they are security guards. They just returned from a night shift, so I suppose probably 12 hours of working. They immediately went to the lines to vote, and Jana-Marie Smith spoke to Salmon Makopo and Ndandi Joseph.
I'm Solomon Maikopo. I'm a security guard, and I've come to vote because I want Namibia to change. It's all.
My name is Ndandi Joseph. I want to vote. I want the Namibia to change and to get a new work and different things.
Yes, guys, just coming back to you, Ashley and Jomari, again, a couple of interesting contributions there from the young people, security guards. Just a short comment maybe from your side on what you have seen.
Well, I think there's a common thread through all the interviews that things are not as they should be in the country. That many people feel that it's time for change, better looking after of resources, more creation of jobs. You heard about the rural areas and the services not being rendered maybe sufficiently that side of the world. We're sitting in Windhoek, but people are suffering in the rural areas. So there's a clear message around change. How people vote as a result of that remains to be seen.
And Jomari?
Yes, very much around the decentralization in the country to allow for development to work on grassroots level. Very interesting from various walks of life.
And just a bit further on that, Jo Marie, I think also encouraging once again to see so many diverse Namibians coming out.
Indeed so, and also very creative. We've seen quite a couple of interesting clips now of people ensuring that they remain patient, have the right attitude, and keeping themselves busy.
Yeah, with all the kind of problems we're having in the country, we're also a very blessed country.
We are indeed.
We also have a kind of stable democracy. We don't have the issue of people clinging on to power and dictatorships and autocracy. And we've had already 3 smooth transitions between 3 different presidents.
I think that is something to be extremely thankful for, something quite unheard of on the continent, and something Namibia has been credited for from the outset of independence, that absolutely smooth transition. Yes, indeed, something one should be very, very thankful for.
Yes, and of course, we can all go and stand in line without, being under threat of the army or being shot or being intimidated. Everybody can go out today and make their free choice for whoever they want to go to Parliament or to be the president of the country.
Absolutely. Very important that Namibians aren't feeling intimidated at all to exercise their right to cast a vote. I think we've got another stats slide coming up.
Yes, we'll be back shortly.
We will be back shortly. Eerste Eleni.
Eleni.
Yes, and we have another reporter in the field who we're going to talk to. Eleni is part of the Namibian Sun.
Yes, he's part of the Namibian Sun. And how are you doing, Eleni? Good day.
Good day, colleagues.
How are things out in your region today?
Everything is quite hectic here. Seeing at the queues, the polling stations, the vibe. Despite it, it's very hot.
Yeah, I know the weather plays a big role, eh?
I was just in Ohangwena region. Now I'm in Oshana region, Ondangwa, Omashaka location. Omashaka is one of the densely populated location in Ondangwa. And the height is very high. The queue is long. I can see people even brought their chairs and their umbrellas to cover themselves, to provide themselves the shade. It seems to be a busy day. It seems to be a busy day, and everybody seems to be.
And obviously very, very, very big voting areas. Massive voting areas, in fact.
Yeah, I just want to show you the situation, how it's queues and queues, and the voting process. So far, most of the stations that I have visited, things are going well. They started on time. There no reports of intimidation or any campaign that are going on at the polling station. Here we see Mr. Bangu, who just decided to get out of the queue, then just to get some refreshment, just to him.
Eleni, have you heard of any problems at any of the stations?
Hello. Hey.
Seems to be a problem.
Yes, it seems as if we have a technical problem, but we do have Dani on standby again to bring us news from the regions.
Not from the regions this time, guys. The Electoral Commission headquarters in Windhoek, of course, will for the entire day today and tomorrow, until the final elections come out, remain an extremely important focus point. And we had Catherine Sussman there this morning thus far with Octavia Tsibes. So we're going to play our viewers 3 interviews. The first one is with the Chief Executive of the ECN, Mr. Tieu Muyoro.
I'd like to say a very good morning to all Namibian voters. Today, or this morning, we have the CEO of the ECN, Mr. Tieu Muyoro. Mr. Muyoro, how did the deployment of people and voting equipment and everything go yesterday?
Well, it went really well. As we've indicated previously, we will be operating at more than 4,400 polling stations countrywide. Yesterday was a very important day for us at the Electoral Commission because it was the day that we call Deployment Day. What that entails really is that you get all the teams together at one central point in each and every constituency. The idea is but I'm confident that as we open our polling stations going forward, our officials will gain the necessary confidence to be able to deal with the large numbers of the people that we expect to turn out and participate in this all-important day of national elections.
As a last word, what kind of elections or what kind of turnout do you expect
I really, today is a public holiday. Therefore, for that reason, I don't think there should be anybody who can claim that they are busy, they are occupied, they are at work, this kind of thing. And the fact that it is a public holiday, I think it affords all of us an opportunity to make time, go join the queues and cast our votes. For that reason, I expect that the turnout is going to be impressive. I must also add here that in terms of the presidential and National Assembly elections, we've never really had issues of voter apathy or low voter turnout. I think it was more prevalent in respect to small by-elections and perhaps as a perception issue when it comes to the local authority elections and regional council elections. But today's presidential National Assembly elections, I expect our people to flock to our polling stations and participate fully in this important process.
Thank you very much, and have a happy election day.
Happy voting to you too.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That was the CEO of the Electoral Commission of Namibia speaking to Catherine Sussman. Guys, when we wrap, maybe some input from your side on that interview very shortly. But also at the ECN, we spoke to the Chief of the Namibian Police, Lieutenant General Sebastian de Tunga.
Good day, viewers. Today I'm here with General Taitunga and I want to ask him a few questions. So, General, how ready is the police today? Since today is the European Election, how ready is the police in terms of safety and peace and stability in Namibia?
The Namibian police has been always ready, and today we are everywhere to ensure that the electoral process goes very well. You can see around this building, you go to polling stations, police are there, meaning that we are there to assist the electoral process to ensure that it achieves its logical objective. And we are ready for everything to assist the ECN.
There you have it, viewers. The police has always been ready and they are at all polling stations. So it is guaranteed that there will be peace and stability. Thank you.
A final clip, then also an interview from the ECN, and we spoke to the former CEO of the Electoral Commission of Namibia, Professor Paul Isaac.
Applied in that sense.
Do you as a Namibian voter feel safe or feel confident in the knowledge that your vote will count with the use of the EVMs?
Yes, as a Namibian, I have also been there, and I would say with absolute certainty that the votes which are at EVMs cannot be manipulated in one or other way. It is accurate. It is when you press this one, then it is one. It cannot be changed to a two. However, the issue here is not what you are explaining, but the question is, if you say so, show us. And that's the issue. That means it is the credibility is not in the words, but the credibility lies in the act. Namely, you want to see yourselves, and therefore then you will say, I have proof. Currently, we can say that with absoluteness, but I cannot in one or other way prove it. And I think that's the issue of, not that it is compromised, but only just to give a person, which is saying, I also want really to know how is 1 and 1 2. I cannot just say 1 and 1 is 2, but I have also to show you what is it happening that 1 and 1 becomes 2. And then you see it really becomes 2. That's the problem. Currently we are saying 1 and 1 is 2.
Without any verifiable paper trail.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
That's the issue now. You cannot afford. You cannot give a mental assurance to a person that it has been done as such.
Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was from the ECN headquarters in Windhoek. Now, guys, three large mouths full. I'll be ladies first. Jo Marie, maybe a short comment on the three interviews we've just seen.
Yes, interesting. The former chief of the ECN reiterating what the ECN has been saying the whole week and in the run-up to the elections, that they have full confidence in EVMs, despite the fact that there isn't a manual paper trail. So, yeah, seemingly they are absolutely unshaken on this.
Ashley, something from you before I run off again?
Yeah, just in terms of the kind of Muyoro reminding us of the scope of the election. I mean, over 4,000 polling stations, thousands of people working. So spare a thought for the election workers and, of course, the police who are protecting the polling stations.
Indeed, guys. I'll see you later again.
Thank you, Danny.
So we now have an interview with Otis Fink, of course, our guy in Irongo.
Officer.
Good morning, Otis. How are you?
I'm good, ma'am. Election time.
Yes.
What does this day hold for Namibia?
Namibia is facing chaos, but so far we didn't really have like complications. It's just there was just a bit of hiccups about pregnant women and the ones that are having babies. So they were going on about the months, and then we were trying to make them understand that it doesn't mean that as long as you're having a kid, you have a privilege to stand in front. We are looking at the months. For example, if it's an infant or maybe 3 months, doesn't mean even if it's a toddler, you must just stand in front.
Yes.
So, but we solved that issue. So, like now we are fine.
Yes.
We have nothing to complain about. Yes.
It's going to be a very long day for you. Are you prepared?
Yeah, I'm very good. I'm very prepared, more than prepared. Yeah.
What's your message to the voters?
The voters must just be law-abiding citizens. So far, they are cooperating. So, yeah, from my side, I can't complain more. I wouldn't ask for more cooperation.
Thank you so much, man.
You're welcome.
Okay.
And viewers, thank you for joining myself and Jo Marie during our slot. We're going to be taking a tea break and we'll be back at 11 o'clock.